Listen to this. That's literally as loud as it's gonna get all day. There's not a car going on. There's nothing. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday in the old port in Montreal. Usually it's packed with tourists, packed with pedestrians, just obnoxious people all the time. And it's fine. I love it. But it's so weird that you don't get that vibe now. It's got this apocalyptic vibe. It's eerie. It's empty. It's quiet. I'm the loudest thing alive right now. I am literally, nothing. So I want to go out shoot. I want to recreate the scene. I want that scene. I want that apocalyptic vibe, but we can't. What I can show you instead is how you can recreate this entire thing all in Photoshop. So that's today's tutorial. Stick around. All right, so there are two techniques I would use whenever I come to get rid of any subject or anything really in an image. The first technique involves layer mask. Now, layer mask technique would only work if you have multiple shots of the same perspective. So maybe you've gone out shooting urban and you got trigger happy and you've gone multiple shots of someone crossing the street, or maybe you're just set on a tripod and you're taking one shot after the other and deciding which one you want towards the end. So if that's the case and you have multiple shots from the same perspective, it then helps you to examine all these shots and look at these shots for areas that are free in comparison to other shots where those areas are occupied by a subject or any object rather. So what I would then do is align all these layers. So select all of the layers, align them by going to edit, auto align, keep it on auto. And then once everything is aligned, you can then just start masking the things that you want to get rid of, or just masking in the things you want to add. So layer mask technique really does help when it comes to getting rid of a subject or getting rid of any objects. And there are a couple of things to consider when you are using layer masks. The first thing that you want to consider is the brush hardness. You want to set that to 0. The softer the brush, the smoother the masking is going to be. It's not going to create that hard edge whenever you come to mask anything out. Another thing to consider when you're layer masking is try to zoom in as much as possible into your image to look at the details. The closer you are to the details, the better the results will be, because you won't then skip anything that you normally would skip if you're further away from the image. So that's a few tips I would recommend when it comes to the layer mask. The second technique I use is the clone stamp tool. Now, without the clone stamp tool, this probably wouldn't be super possible, because you can just very well have that one image and then that's it. You don't have multiple shots. You weren't there with a tripod, or you didn't get trigger happy. You just have one shot and you want to start getting rid of stuff. So in that case, I would use the clone stamp tool. So with the clone stamp tool selected, hold down Alt or Option on your keyboard and then click on the area you want to clone from, and then slowly then clone into the areas that you want to get rid of. Now, a couple of things to consider when it comes to the clone stamp tool. Similarly to layer mask, you want to have the brush's hardness set to 0. That's the first thing. Zoom in again as much as you can so the final result is cleaner. And then the big thing is, whenever you're cloning, clone to the direction or in the direction of any straight lines that have in the image. If you take a look at the steps towards the end of the image there, the steps, they go from left to right. So I would then move my brush from left to right. That'll help me keep the straightness of the stairs, and it'll also give me a better clean look. Similarly, when it comes to the sidewalk is diagonal. Again, the straight line is diagonal. You want to brush in the direction of the straight line first. You don't want to brush sideways or whatnot, and that will again create a cleaner look towards the end. If you are using the clone stamp tool, you might run into a few problems. The first thing that you might run into is you might find a spot that, regardless of what you do, you can't clone it. It's just too big of a spot, and if you clone it, it just looks so apparent that you've cloned it. So if you look at my right hand side of the road here, I have successfully cloned it out and it looks somewhat clean. As best as I can, it looks clean. But the left hand side has these two gigantic cars that I can't just clone out. It will look apparent if I clone it out. So if that's the case, if you have something like that, consider making a selection of the area that you actually want to clone from, duplicate it, and then flip it. So I would then duplicate the right hand side, flip it horizontally, and place it on top of the left hand side, and then that will help me get rid of the cars on the left hand side. And again, it will look more cleaner because I had initially on the right hand side less cars, so I didn't have to do a lot of cleaning up on the right hand side. Another thing that you might run into whenever you're clone stamping is there are certain parts of the image, regardless of what you do, like you can't duplicate another part because it's just a one-off, and you can't finish it off. You don't know what to do. How are you gonna get rid of it? How are you gonna clone it? Or what would you clone it with? So if you take a look at the left-hand side here, I have the cars blocking half of the bike rack. It's preventing me from finishing off or completing what a bike rack would look like if the car wasn't there. You then have to ask yourself this: what's the purpose behind the overall image? What's your final result? My purpose of creating this whole thing is to create an eerie apocalyptic vibe, empty roads, nothing happening in an image. The bike rack being there or the bike rack not being there, it doesn't add value to my image. So consider getting rid of things that don't add value to your image, that will give you more problems, or you will spend more time trying to hide or creating or whatever. You're going to spend more time trying to fix that area than if you would just clone it out. So I would just consider getting rid of it. So I just got rid of it because it was a bit of a headache for me to continue trying to clone the bike rack. So that's my final tip. Whenever you're running into something that you can't think of anything to clone, or it's a one-off, just consider getting rid of it. So that's it for today's tutorial. It was a fun, quick tutorial I wanted to share with you guys on how you can get rid of objects in an image. If you did enjoy this tutorial and if you're motivated to create a similar effect, I'd love to see your work. So be sure to tag me on Instagram. I'll include my handle somewhere down here in the description. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. If there's something that you wish I spent a little bit more time on, or if you have any questions or anything you're a little bit confused, just let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Apart from that, I hope everyone's doing well. Look after one another, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.